What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today I have a question for you, the viewer, the player of Idle Heroes. Let me know first off if you're still playing the game. Let me know if you guys are still checking out our videos, even though you might have quit the game or taken a little bit of a break. But I want to know is, I have a very specific outlook on the game. I really enjoy the early game. I pretty much enjoy the late game. The mid game gets a little stale because it is very time consuming to get through the mid game. But I had a question for you. Would you ever mind the newest non-Transcendence heroes actually becoming very overpowered heroes? Now, I say that for one main reason, and raise your hand in chat in the description and in the comments down below. Are you tired of just having Eloise be the only early game option? Because I am. As much as I love that hero, it's gotten pretty stale, especially considering literally the past 3 free-to-play series we've done over the past 3 years. The best route is to go Eloise, which kind of blows my mind because they're essentially making new heroes honestly complete garbage. Let me know what you guys think, but I want to talk about something very specifically. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Hit that subscribe button. Let's jump right into it. So in case you guys were wondering, we are literally coming up to the 3-year anniversary for the release of Eloise. She came out, I think it was like March 11th or 12th of 2021. Yes, that's literally 3 years ago. Honestly, that was still kind of like, in my opinion, the peak prime of Idle Heroes. 2020 to 2021 was just some of the best content, gameplay, everything about the game. Who would love to play classic Idle Heroes? I know I would love to start from scratch all over again in the beginning, but this hero came out and she shook the world. The ability of her to do these counterattacks, to then also gain buffs, to also gain healing, to also have AoE damage. She just did everything, and let's be honest, she still does everything. To this day, there is not a single better first E5 hero to build, even if you are a spender. And if you're a spender, that means you have 2 complete other factions at your disposal to build heroes with. I mean, the closest thing we've gotten was the most recent non-Transcendence hero with Patricia. She's good, but again, she's still nowhere even as good, in my opinion, as Tix, as maybe even Penny, and those heroes. And it's insane to think that heroes that are 3 and 4 years old are still just better heroes in general, because like, when's the last time you've ever had the urge to be like, you know what would help me solve this problem in Idle Heroes, and not talking about a tenant spot? Let's build a Mockman. I mean, literally, we have heroes like Tix that's even older than Eloise by like 6 months. He still has some very unique uses in the early game, even potentially in the late game with his ghost and stuff. Like, you can literally go through each one of these factions. I mean, Azrael, yeah, he's kind of a newer one. He can revive, so that's like, it's like okay, coolish. Holmes Young is like the closest thing we have to it, but again, that was at the amount of time it takes to go through like normal faction heroes. It feels like Holmes Young is such an old hero, and when you really look at it, look where he is in the list of Transcendence heroes. We have so many light and dark Transcendence heroes popping up and stuff. Some factions just feel like they've gone by the wayside, but I mean, like, Sherlock has uses. Hell, Penny still has some uses in the game. You go over here, Waldeck has an early game use. Ignis has a forever game use, essentially. Even heroes as old as Cruz still have these very unique abilities that make them somewhat viable either in the early game, mid game, or even some cases the late game. You got heroes like Rogan, you got heroes like Olivia, you even got heroes like Heartwatcher that are part of some end game mode strategies. And it just feels a little stale without them. Now, Raw and Carrie, I could say, are 2 that are, and Drake, 3 heroes in a row in the dark faction that were bangers. Forces was very iffy, and then you get up here and they're not really that great. Even Elena, not that great, even though she does have some abilities for dodging and stuff and petrifying. It just doesn't stack up to how the old heroes are made. And honestly, even when you look at their like skills, like, there's so many words for them, but like, if you go back to like an older hero that's like a much shorter verbiage, they're just better abilities. Even here, Yorm Tum, he's absolute garbage. Natalie can be okay. She's not horrible. Same with Vulcan, not bad, not horrible. Eos about the same. Andrea has more uses probably than most. Tusilago trash. Russell still okay in the early game. Michelle, heck, you have more uses on a late game account for a Michelle than you do a Yorm Tum. And I'm just kind of getting tired of seeing that all the new heroes are just straight up garbage. There's literally no use for them. G-Stir, Gaggy, Ilamok, Betty, like, why can't I can't wrap my head around why we can't have very strong, even niche heroes. Like, heck, I'm not going to use a Betty to push early game tower, but you know what I might use? I might use something like Lutz because he has a very unique CC ability. And I feel like that's really what's lacking. We go from these unused heroes to these heroes that have such long ability lists and everything that you need a dictionary to understand how they work. I'm tired of having, like, needing a degree to understand how a hero works, because beyond that, I'll be honest, there's a lot of heroes in this game whose destiny transition skills and even regular skills don't even work. They don't do what their descriptions say they do. And I think it's because they're getting so convoluted that, like, certain scenarios pop up and then the coding's just like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it in that situation. And it's like going through that and actually knowing that it's not happening is really difficult because, well, there's so many things that go into it, so many changes, so many layers of damage, so many layers of buffs. There's so much going on in the game right now. It's just, you can't even tell unless you're someone who sits there in slow motion and watches combat to see if something is working properly. It literally comes down to, like, Rek and some of the super endgame megalodons that have all these things unlocked to look at something and be like, that doesn't seem like it's working the way it should be, and then taking like a full day trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, heck, to this day, even Destiny transition skills, and I think there's even some like Tree of Origin stuff for Sword Flash, still doesn't work properly. So I'm just I don't know. Today I just had this like epiphany, not even epiphany, but I kind of like got to my limit of like, I am so tired of every other month a regular hero coming out, and it's not even a consideration of if we care about this hero. I don't see why we can't just make more overpowered Eloise. I mean, heck, in these games, power creep is typically a thing, but it's not, because even when you take a look at Transcendence heroes, still, the best, I think, generation of Transcendence heroes to this date is still the first generation. Scarlet Queen Halora, Lord of Fear Aspen. That's all I gotta say. Second generation was pretty solid, I must say, because it goes from I think it goes from Freya, right? Or no, it goes from Holmes Young up to Phantom Defier Lena, I guess. And maybe not even that. It goes up to here. I don't know. Actually, third gen was a pretty banger. Third gen was pretty good. But again, like, this new fourth gen that we're on, or whatever it's called, already feels kind of lacking. Granted, we can't even test her just yet. We're getting close to be able to test her. We're not quite there yet. So please, DH Games, if you guys are watching this, just make some overpowered non-transcendence heroes. Just let them be viable options for the early game. Variety is the spice of this game, because it's getting stale. Everybody going the same route. And even if you don't go the right route, you fall way behind. So that's just me kind of venting here today. I'd love to know your guys' input as well. I kind of want to share this with at least the community managers of DH Games. So if you guys want to leave constructive feedback or your opinions that are respectful, because, you know, the second it's not respectful, people just don't even bother reading it. And I'll kind of forward it on and we'll see what happens. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. We're up for another regular hero this week, or this next week, 2 weeks away. Should be boring, but we'll see. It's a special event, and I'll see you guys next time.